Eli pulled his old truck into the dusty parking lot of Marlowe's diner just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The place looked like it had been forgotten by time, with its faded neon sign flickering weakly against the growing dark. He needed work bad, and this graveyard shift was the only job he could find in this stretch of nowhere. Ruth Calder, the owner, met him at the door with a firm handshake and eyes that seemed to see right through him. She was in her 50s, tough as nails, with short gray hair and a no-nonsense way about her. "You start tonight," she said, handing him an apron. "Keep the coffee hot, the counter clean, and follow the rules. No questions until morning." He nodded, figuring it was just diner talk. The inside smelled like old grease and burnt toast, with red vinyl booths lining the walls and a jukebox in the corner that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. Ruth showed him around quick: the kitchen, the storage room out back, the clock on the wall that ticked a little too loud. Then she pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket and slid it across the counter. "These are the rules," she said, her voice low. "Read them. Memorize them. Break one, and you're done." Eli unfolded it and scanned the handwritten list. 1. Don't serve anyone who doesn't blink. 2. Reset the clock before 3:33. 3. If the lights flicker 3 times, lock the door. 4. Never answer the phone after midnight. 5. Ignore any knocks from the storage room. 6. If the jukebox starts on its own, hide under the counter. 7. Stay inside until dawn no matter what. He looked up, half expecting her to laugh, but her face was dead serious. "What kind of place is this?" he asked, trying to keep his tone light. Ruth leaned in closer. "A thin spot," she whispered, "where things bleed through. You'll see." She grabbed her coat and headed for the door, leaving him alone with the hum of the fluorescent lights. Eli shook his head, stuffing the list in his pocket. It had to be some kind of hazing for new hires. He busied himself wiping down the counter, pouring fresh coffee, and flipping the open sign. The night stretched out quiet at first, just the occasional car passing on the highway outside. Around midnight, a customer came in, an old man in a worn coat, ordering black coffee without looking up. Eli served him, watching close, but the guy blinked normal enough. He paid and left, and Eli felt a little easier. But as the hours ticked by, the diner felt smaller, the shadows longer. The clock hit 2, and he reset it like the rules said, though he didn't know why. Nothing happened. He poured himself a cup of coffee and sat on a stool, thinking about his life drifting from town to town since his brother died in that car wreck 2 years back. Guilt still gnawed at him. He'd been the one driving. Then, without warning, the jukebox crackled to life. An old song started playing, scratchy and slow, like something from the 40s. Eli froze. No one had touched it. He remembered Rule 6 and dropped behind the counter, heart pounding. Peeking through the gap, he saw shapes outside the windows, tall, shadowy figures circling the diner, their outlines twisting like smoke. They didn't knock or try the door. They just moved, silent and endless. The song looped 3 times before cutting off, and the figures faded into the night. Eli stayed hidden a minute longer, sweat beading on his forehead. When he stood, the diner was empty again, but the air felt heavier, like something had brushed against the walls. The next night went similar, but Ruth showed up before closing to check on him. "You followed the rules?" she asked, pouring herself coffee. Eli nodded, still shaken from the shadows. "What are those things out there?" he pressed. She sighed, sitting across from him. "This place isn't just a diner. It's on a line where our world touches another. Call it the dark side. The other realm doesn't matter. Things slip through sometimes, looking for a way in. The rules keep them out." Her words hung in the air, and Eli felt a chill run down his spine. He wanted to quit right then, but he needed the money, and something about her story pulled at him like it explained the emptiness he'd felt since his brother's death. Over the next few shifts, Eli settled into a routine, but the weirdness built. One night, the phone rang at 12:05. He stared at it, Rule 4 burning in his mind. It kept ringing, insistent, until he yanked the cord from the wall. Silence fell, but then a faint knock came from the storage room. He ignored it, busying himself with plates, but the knocks grew louder, almost like fists pounding. By 3, they stopped, leaving him rattled. The next morning, Ruth nodded approval when he told her, "Good. Some don't last this long." As the weeks blurred, Eli started noticing scratches on the counter, faint at first, like someone had carved them with a knife. He wiped them, clean, but they showed up again, deeper. One night, while mopping, he leaned close and read them. Extra rules, not on Ruth's list. 8. Don't look in the mirror after 2. 9. If the coffee turns red, pour it out fast. 10. Never follow the voices. His stomach twisted. Who had written these? A previous worker? Maybe someone who learned the hard way. He showed Ruth the next day, but she brushed it off. Old marks. Ignore them. But her eyes darted away, and Eli wondered what she was hiding. The voices started soon after, soft at first, whispering his name from the vents. Eli. Eli. He shook it off as wind, but one night, it changed. Eli, it's me. Come out back. I need you. The voice sounded just like his brother, pained and desperate. Eli's heart seized. His brother had died begging for help after the crash, and now here it was again, pulling at his guilt. He gripped the counter, fighting the urge to open the back door. It's not real, he muttered to himself. The calls came every night after that, louder, more pleading. Eli, please, it hurts. Come out back. One shift, the coffee pot started bubbling weird. He glanced over and saw the liquid turn blood red, boiling over the sides. Remembering the scratched rule, he grabbed it and dumped it in the sink. Steam rose thick, and in the haze, faces formed, twisted, screaming faces. One cleared for a second, looking just like Ruth, her mouth open in a silent yell. Eli backed away, knocking over a stool. What the hell was going on? The diner felt alive now, watching him. Ruth showed up late that night, limping through the door with a gash on her arm, blood soaking her sleeve. What happened? Eli asked, grabbing a towel to wrap it. She winced as he tied it. I looked directly at what followed me home, she said, her voice shaky for the first time. Broke my own rule. She sat down heavy, and after a long pause, she met his eyes. There's one more rule I didn't tell you. If the mirror behind the counter shows more than 2 reflections, yours and mine, run. Don't wait. Eli felt dread coil in his gut. Why keep that secret? Ruth looked away. Because knowing it draws them closer, but you need it now. She stood, heading for the door. Lock up tight tonight. He did, but sleep didn't come easy in his truck afterward. The next morning, he arrived to find the diner empty. Ruth was gone. On the counter sat a note in her handwriting. They're coming for me. Follow the map if you want answers. But remember the oldest rule, never step past the parking lot after dark. Tucked under it was a folded map, pointing to a spot deep in the desert labeled the original Marlows. Eli stared at the map, heart racing. The sun was rising, blood red, casting an eerie glow over the highway. Out there, a faint road shimmered into view, one that wasn't on any normal map. To find Ruth, he'd have to break that final commandment and follow it. But as he stepped toward the door, the voices started again, whispering promises and threats. What waited at the end?